guys, Super Chris Productions here, back with another custom minifigure showcase video, this time with the two figures I made to celebrate the release of the new Star Wars Disney Plus show, Kenobi. Now, of course, the two figures I did make are Kenobi himself and Darth Vader. This has definitely been one of my most anticipated Star Wars shows, and words cannot express how excited I am for the return of both Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Revenge of the Sith has always been one of my favorite Star Wars movies ever since the first time I saw it. And like most of you, I would have never expected to see them return to the screen in their respective roles, Ewan as, of course, Kenobi, and Hayden, while we may not get to see him return as Anakin Skywalker, I am really glad that we do get to see him suit up as Vader one more time. We've been getting so much amazing new Star Wars content, and I cannot wait to see the big confrontation that I know we've all been waiting for, seeing Kenobi fight Vader one more time before they do in A New Hope. Now, I did see both episodes before recording this video, but as always, I would like to ask that you guys please refrain from posting any spoilers in the comment section. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the showcase video. Alright guys, and starting off here we have Kenobi, and as always, I'll give you guys a full 360 of the figure just so you guys can take in all the details that are added onto here. Now, for the most part, this figure was pretty simplistic to make. I did make both Vader and Kenobi in about the span of 4 to 5 days, and because they were pretty simple, I did try to add in as many different details as I possibly could. I'll get the lightsaber out of the way for now so you guys can get a better look at the entirety of the figure. Now, starting off from the top, the hair was actually from the Loki figure from the Marvel Collectible Minifigure series, which I then sculpted a little bit in the front here. This little section here was sculpted on, and then I did sand down certain areas around the hair, because originally it was too long, and so I did want to make it a little shorter. Plus, it did not originally fit with the robe that I have here. And, of course, being that the hair was black, I had to paint it in my own sort of reddish-brown color. And then I also added these little gray bits for the sideburns, and you can see the same on both sides of the hair. Then the head was, I'm pretty sure it was the Legolas head. I painted some of the wrinkle details on the face, and then, of course, painted the beard. There is no alternate expression. I didn't feel like painting the other side, didn't really think it was necessary, so that side is unpainted, and plus the hair covers it up anyway. I'm only going to be using this one side, so I do think it does resemble Ewan McGregor pretty well. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments section. But yeah, now onto the robe. The robe was entirely made out of fabric. As you can see, even the sleeves, I wrapped them with fabric, try to make the whole thing all consistent. While watching the episode, I did notice he had this little slit here, so I did add this last minute, because originally the whole thing was solid all the way around, but decided to add that little slit. And then, of course, he has this fabric hood. I did try to make a working hood that I could fold over the figure, but that didn't work. So, I just added this piece of fabric here, and then it does open up to try and resemble a hood. And then I added these pieces here to make it look like the hood goes back. It does stop right there at the shoulders, mainly because I didn't want it to get in the way of the hair and him turning his head if I needed to turn the head for certain poses. But I can get the hair out of the way, and then I'll give you guys a look at the arms, and then we can take a look at the actual torso of the figure. But yeah, as you can see, fabric wrapped around, it's got the tan sleeves on the inside, same thing on both sides. They do get damaged a little bit, as you can see there, and they are very flimsy once you start to move them around, but they do add a really nice detail, and I like the way they turned out. So I'll get this off of here now. And so the torso, of course, and the legs were both official Lego parts. I sculpted the front of his shirt, tried to add all the wrinkles, and then I also painted in the flesh color here where his collar is open. And I did dirty the whole thing up with like a tan brush, since his tunic sort of does look a little dirty from being on Tatooine and whatnot. And then the belt was made with electrical tape wrapped around the entire figure. And then I sculpted this little pouch here. I sculpted this little belt buckle piece and this like part of the belt that comes over. And then for the little skirt piece, that was actually also electrical tape, which I then wrapped around a piece of paper just so it would keep its shape and not stick to the legs. It's a little tight, but it does slide off. And in the middle here, it is actually a piece of fabric from the robe that I stuck there to keep it in place. But for the most part, it holds up, and you can like sort of see the paper on the inside that was used. But yeah, for the most part, it's smooth. And of course, I did use the legs from the Loki figure, as you guys can probably tell there. This thing is annoying to slide back on, so I'm just going to try really quick to do so. It is a little tight, so it does not always want to go on. There we go. And then, of course, for the legs, I sculpted the little wraps he has around the boots, and then painted the boots in my own brown color. And all of that does go around all four sides of the legs. You can sort of already tell the paint is on the inside. I just didn't bother painting the bottom of the feet because I didn't want it to scratch off. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the actual figure. I'll try and put him back together really quickly and give you guys a look at the lightsaber. The arm there, and there we go. Now, the lightsaber was actually I'm pretty sure this was a brick forged lightsaber. I think that's what it is. It was black, and I painted it in my own chrome color. I think it looks really nice. And then I painted like some gold details for the activator and a little gold ring he has above the hilt there. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty simple. I do want to make my own lightsaber at some point, or at least buy a 3D printed one if I find one I really like. But for now, I just used this because it was all I had on hand, and I did kind of run out of time to make the lightsaber. But so that's it for Kenobi, and now we can move on to Vader. Alright, and next up here we have Vader. Now, I originally was not going to make this figure, mainly because I did make a Vader a few years ago, so I didn't really think I needed to. But then, after looking over this figure, I looked over all the details and everything that I put onto here, and I mean, it is an old figure, it is kind of falling apart, as you can sort of see, and so I figured I would just go full send and make a new Vader for the show, make an entirely better one, more detailed than I did the last one. And all I did was swap over the head, because the head was the official Darth Vader head and helmet. It does use the Mustafar Vader head underneath. But yeah, the entire figure, besides the helmet, was all made by me, and of course the lightsaber, which I'll get out of the way, we can take a look at that later. So this figure uses a ton of sculpting details, a bit of electrical tape, and of course my own fabric details, as you can see for the cape. This was a custom cape because this cape already wasn't long enough with this figure, and after extending some parts of this figure, because as you can see this is a much taller figure than normal, the cape was way too short, so I had to make an entirely new one, which I think it turned out pretty well. I will remove the head and the cape now, though, so you guys can actually get a better look at the body of the figure. You can sort of see how I draped it over, curves over the shoulders, single hole. Yeah, that's the cape, and I will stick his head back on, so it doesn't look too awkward, but yeah, so as you can see, a lot of sculpting details. One of the new things I wanted to do with this figure was sculpt the entire ribbed undersuit. And so I did that. I sculpted it onto the arms, both arms, the torso, the legs, as you can sort of see behind here. Both legs have it. I wanted to make sure I went all out with this figure. So the chest armor here, or the shoulder armor, that was sculpted, and then I painted it, of course, in the black and gunmetal colors. And then I sculpted the shoulder pads, painted them in like a glossy black color. His little control panel here, I sculpted as well. All the buttons on there are 3D. And of course, then I painted those. Same for the belt. These were sculpted, and then I painted all the little buttons on there. The green ones were sculpted, the other ones were painted on. And then the belt was wrapped around with electrical tape that does go around the entirety of the figure. And for the gloves of Vader, I considered sculpting them, but then I thought they might be a little too bulky. So then I just ended up wrapping them as well with electrical tape, and I think it looks alright. Now, of course, you can see I did sculpt the little pad piece here he has in the crotch area. The legs actually do come out. I wanted to make sure the legs would be able to move and be separated from the figure. But, so all of this, the whole torso and everything, is all one piece with the robe, and then the legs do separate, as you can see. Oh yeah, I did forget to mention, the arms are extended, so they are longer than a normal minifigure arm. As you can see there, they're like slightly longer. And the legs, of course, like I said, also extended, so I chopped off the feet, added a plate to the bottom. I wrapped the boots with electrical tape, and it does go around all four sides. You can see the gray plate there. And then, of course, the ribbed suit detail is sculpted on the top of the legs. And the legs can actually bend. I wanted to make sure they would be able to slightly bend. The crotch piece does bend a little bit, but even with the robe, he can't fully sit, so it's not too big of a deal. But as you can see, it is probably a little hard to tell, but I tried to detail the knee pads or the shin guards as best as I possibly could, so those are fully sculpted. And like I said, rib detail goes all the way around the back. I think some of the fabric was rubbing on the paint, so it is a little scratched, but luckily you don't really see that. But that's pretty much it for Vader, honestly. Definitely more detailed than Kenobi, and I will stick them side by side so you guys can see the height difference. Vader is visibly taller, as you can see there. There's nothing really on the back of Vader, since he is covered with his cape. I did consider adding the back of the armor, but decided against it since you're not going to see it. And I also didn't want the extra sculpt to buff the cape out a little bit. I wanted it to drape cleanly down his back. But like I said, that's Vader, and I'll show you guys his lightsaber in a minute once I put his cape back on. There we go. And so the lightsaber was actually from Nate's Minifigs. It's one of the, I think it's one of the Lego-Matic 9 lightsabers. It's Darth Vader lightsaber. So I painted it in silver and then painted the black details, all the black bars, and it goes really, really well with the figure. It is definitely a lot sleeker of a lightsaber than the Brickforge one, but both figures look really well. And yeah, so that's about it for the showcase, and now we can go ahead and wrap up this video. Alright guys, so that about does it for this showcase video. I really hope you guys liked it as much as I enjoyed making both of these figures. I don't have too many other plans for customs at the moment. I know I did say at the beginning of the year that I would try and do a bunch of custom minifigure showcases, but of course life has gotten in the way, and I haven't had too much time to make new figures. But I do have a date for my next showcase, which will be when I make the two figures for the new Marvel Thor Love and Thunder. I would have liked to see Natalie Portman return as Padme, but I am glad that we will be getting to see her return as Jane Foster in the Thor movie. So I will be making two figures from that movie, of course, Thor and Jane. But for now, those are my only new figure plans. But So like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below. Don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe. And bye.